Hi, my name is Vanessa Berger and I'm the database expert at ECO Institute for Ecology in Klagenfurt, Austria. I will guide you step by step through the S.M.A.R.T tools needed to maintain the standardized monitoring system for Ethiopian national parks developed by our company on behalf of the GIZ Biodiversity and Forestry Program. We consider the WWF developed S.M.A.R.T database as the suitable tool to collect and store data of the parks, and we customized it according to the needs of the Ethiopian monitoring system. So, I would like to explain how we can sort a table. Therefore, we go back in the editing mode. So, edit, report, and now we are open the table options. So, to open the table options, we have to find here instead of grid to table. So, click in here to the table and to the table. And now here the property editor is open for the table. So here we could format the whole table, but in our case we want to have a look on the sorting. So here there are the overall properties, then the binding. So here is what dataset is this table about, what are the columns, which aggregation field we have in our table, then if we have some group, then if we have a map or something, a highlight, and then here it's the sorting. To sort the table, go to add, and now we choose the header for sorting, and I don't want to have it ascending, I want to have it descending, and OK. We could also filter the table, but for now I only want to sort it. So we save again and have a look if the sorting works. So now the wilderness zone is the first one, then the traditional zone, so the sorting works properly. So we go back to our report and now add the map which we have generated in the query session before. So first we have to add the query with our map to the dataset. So we go to dataset, new dataset, table query dataset, go to next, and then we choose the raw data petrol violation selected and finish. Again here we can see what is the data source, which query we have selected, then the output columns, and a preview of the results. So because it's a raw data query, there are a lot of columns in here. Just click OK. Now we go to the report items and add a new grid with 1 column and 3 rows, and in here we put our S.M.A.R.T map. This map is too small, so we make it a bit bigger so that we can have the whole park in our map. Here you can see we don't have a base map at the moment and also no data set in here. So now we choose the raw data petrol violation selector because I only have one query with a map result. There is the right one in here, so I can click OK. For a base map, I would like to have the same as before, so I take the zonation and here is the map boundary. Now the map's extent, but we could also set the extent on our own, so zoom a little bit out so that also, or not that much, so that we have a bit more place for our legend. And now let's have a look on our map. So we run the report. So I can see here that the legend is over the map, so I would like to have the legend somewhere in the white area and not over my map. Also, the labeling is not very good visible, so I would go back to the query and delete the labeling for this query. But now just we change the extent of our map, so we go back in the editing mode, click on our map, and for the map pound we set, and then we make it a bit wider so that there is a bit more place for the legend and also for the scale bar. And set bounds, save, and run the report again. Now you can see that the legend is on the right side and not above our map. So now we have the map also to the table. So you can see here the agricultural use, the extraction of resources, and setting wildfire. And in our table we have setting wildfire, extraction of resources, and agricultural use. So in the table we can see how many violations we found, and in the map we can see where are they located. When we have a look on our pages, we can see that here is the page 1 of 2 and our map is on the page 2 of 2. So I go back to the editing mode and I click on the table title. So here under page break we can choose not auto, so and always. This means that there is always a page break before this title. So before this table we always get the new page, and hopefully our map is not too big in our table so that we can have the map and also the table at one side. And also we check if our master page have the right size, so click on master page and here under general have a look if the type is the right one. So if you want something else you can here change the size of your report. And now we save and have a look on our report again. Now you can see this one is on page 1 and the table with map is at the page 2. Now we add a chart to our report. So therefore go to the report items, take the chart and drag it to your grid. I would like to have a bar chart but with stacked bars. So we can go to next. Now we have to select our data. I choose the data frame summary of the administrative zones. And in here we have the agricultural use, the extraction of resources, setting wildfire, and the summary count of the violation. Now here on our X series, I will choose the header. So the header is the administrative zones, and for the Y series 1 I choose the agricultural use. Then I add a new series for extracting resources and a third series for setting wildfire. So now we have 3 series on our chart. We have our course or zones in the X series, and now we can go on and format our table. So here on the left side we have the chart items. So the chart area, which the background is auto. We could also choose white. Then the axis, so here the category is a text, the value is linear. Both have the color black, they are visible. For X, here there is no label in here, so we click on add the label if we want to rotate or make the font on a special one. Now we just click on OK. Here is the scale. We can make intervals for our axis. Now we just change the label, which is below. The position of the label is below, and the background is here, also white. And OK. If we want to have a title for our axis, we choose here visible, and in our axis there are our administrative zones. On the y-axis we choose count as title. So I don't want to have a chart title, so I choose that it's not visible. The legend is okay. And then we name the series. So have a look on your series which are under selected data. So we start with agricultural use, then extraction of resources and setting wildfire. Back to the format chart, we know series 1 is the label. Also here you can choose if the position is inside, which one, and then background if it have an outline. But now we are only choose the names for all series, so we click back on series, and here is the title. So the first one was agricultural use, then extraction of resources and setting wildfire. They should all be visible and stacked, so we can click on finish. We save our report and then we run the report for all data. So in here we have the labeling only for 2 of them, so we have to check the setting wildfire if the labeling is also set for this series. So you can see we have once agricultural use in the core zone, twice the extraction of resources in the core zone, and once setting wildfire for in the core zone. So we go back to our chart. We can also see that here there's the core zone, intensive use zone, and the traditional use community access zone, and we cannot see the other zones. So we go back to our chart properties, and in here click on the chart and click right hand and choose the format type, and for the x-axis we now choose stagger also, so that we can see all of them. And I forgot for the series 3 to check the show series label, so I also check this one and click on finish. I save my report, click on my report, run it, and check if I now can see the whole axis and also all the labels. So we have now our chart in here. There are a lot of other chart options, so if we go back to the chart and go to select chart types, you can see that you can have bar chart, line, areas, pie, meter, and there are also a lot of for the format and the style of the whole chart. The chart area could be gridded, so there are a lot of style opportunities, but here you should click through and train and try which is the right format and style for your report. Also add the selected data. In our case we have 3 series. We could also choose the JavaScript syntax and write in here when we click on available column bindings and charts. We could also combine fields by clicking plus and the next one. So now in our chart there is just one single column where all of our agricultural use, extraction of resources, and the setting wildfire is added to the sum of them. And there's also a function of grouping. When you go back to the select chart type, you could also choose if you want to flip your axis. So just click through, try out what you want to see on your chart, and also the grouping and sorting. So now we should export our report so that we not only have our report in S.M.A.R.T, we could also send to someone else. So therefore we go to the report and click on export report. We can choose if we want a Word document, so those both are Word documents, if we want to have a PDF or a PowerPoint. And I choose a Word document, and then I browse to see S.M.A.R.T, data repository, and this is our report. I check OK. So the report is my test report and I finish. Then we have to choose again the date range and continue. So the report export was completed, and now we could add some further text or also some special photos and all the stuff which is not stored in the database or you want to add outside of the S.M.A.R.T report in the Word document. So now we have all the important items in our report. We have a title, a logo, then a dynamic text. We have a table which is aggregated. We have some page numbers. We have a mapped result of our queries and also a chart. Now we should think about what are the important topics of our report. Therefore, we have this monitoring template. So in here there are a few questions. So please think about these questions. Write some remarks down, because before we start to make the report for your park, you have to think about what should be in my report. Now we have an example for a chart, a table, but in the end we have to think about what should our data deliver to us. So what are the results? So we start with a general description of the situation, the problems. Why do we make these reports? What is the context and the background of the monitoring? Then the investigated indicators, so which parameters are to be investigated in the report. Then the purpose, so what happens with the results and who uses it. So do we just store it in the park or send we the report to someone else? Then the methods, the sample design, techniques, interval. So sometimes you need big text fields in your report where you can write down the method of the monitoring, because most of the time the method will be the same for every report. So also here write down a detailed description and what you need for the report. Then the data handling, so which data type is generated, where is it stored, and do we store everything in our S.M.A.R.T database, or have we some data we stored somewhere else and should add after we exported the report from S.M.A.R.T. Then we should write down the responsible institution, so who is in charge of the data collection and analysis, then the utilization of data, for which reports and analysis the data is used, so which part of it, then the required resources and the required competencies, and the references related to the project. So how do the results link to other reports, project, or internal indicators? Before you start with the report, it is important to know what is my data, if it's an annual report or just a monthly report. Do I need the whole wildlife habitat monitoring and all the violations, or do I want a report for the violation and extra report for the wildlife? And therefore just think about what is the data we collect in the field and what we need in our reports.